Hi, it's MorningStar. If you've never seen me before, I'm a master intuitive, been crafting my gifting for over 30 years. I'm a shaman, pranic healer, and a pastor. So I have some other things like that. I don't usually care about that, but if you've never seen me before, that's what I am. So there's kind of a serious message coming through today for the collective. I was kind of unsure whether I was going out on the boat today. I've been doing some other stuff, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But first, let's set the protocols. Breathe with me, archangels of love and light, who is willing to cleanse us of our auric field. Tapping into God Source energy in the great I am. Diving deep into Middle Mother Gaia Earth, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, hold, hold. Back up into the great I am. Blue angels, please come. All that is. Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, Galactica, Lord Drake, Merlin, Saint Germain, Higher Council, Holy Spirit, Lord Jesus, Archangels, Archangels Raphael, Uriel, Sandalphon, Michael, Gabriel, shamans, Big Eye, Grandmother, Grandfather, and Big Chief. And so it is. Setting the precedents and the protocols. As far as the heavens above, grounding deep into Middle Mother Gaia Earth, and a perimeter around, especially right here with the protection. So I'm out on the boat. I come out here for my sanity, for my remembrance, and enjoying what has been provided for me. There have been a lot of manifestations over the years in my life, that things that I had only dreamt about and only hoped about 20, 25 years ago. I mean, we're a long effing time. And in the last year and a half, 2 years, they've come about. For me, just to be sitting on this boat where I am was a huge prayer, and it was very important to me that this would take place in my life, and now it is. So back to the message. I'm gonna take a drink of water. So let's take some deep breaths in. Yes, thank you. Seeing a band of golden light coming around. Protection. Okay, so the first thing they want me to talk about is the vacuum. So we as a collective have been doing a lot of clearing. I know personally I have been doing a lot of clearing, especially the last 6 years, and especially the last 2 years, and especially the last 6 months. The kind of work where I said in one of my last broadcasts, I don't look for shadow work. I don't, unless it's showing up. I mean, if I see something in my home, when they reveal themselves and I see them, I'm like, oh, it's time for you to go. And so I periodically will bless my home in the name of the Father and Son, Holy Spirit, all of the windows, all of the doors, putting out rose quartz in the perimeter of my yard, setting Metatron's cube, right? I put brass pipe, just thin brass pipe that I cut in pieces like that around the perimeter of my yard. And then another layer of protection around the lanai. And then I also use Himalayan salt. And I'll do that across the doors and my thresholds, across any door. And windows. And I've done that periodically. And then once you set those protocols, and then you know and you can feel into your own home personal space, you're home. And when you're out in the world doing errands and stuff, and it's like, you come home. Okay, a boat's passing. Okay, so there's been a huge clearing. So what happens when there's a huge clearing? A vacuum is created. Now in that vacuum is where they, Higher Council, your archangels, everybody that's cheering for you on the other side are then able, it's like a ping, like a sonar ping. Like when you've pinged and they hear it and they're like, oh, she's ready. And then the energy comes in to fill that vacuum, to fill it up. So here's what happens when you don't do the work, when you don't vacuum out. Sometimes they'll say, clean your house, make your bed, go through all of your clothes and eliminate anything that you haven't worn and throw it away or give it to the thrift store. That has been a periodic thing that I do. And they've called me. They've led me to do that in those actions. And sometimes I would fight them and say, I don't feel like cleaning out my closet. I don't feel like cleaning my house. But then I know there's like this heaviness, this weight on me, pressure, that I know, okay, fine, I'll just do it. And then guess what? Whatever, it like lifts. And then it's kind of like, oh, that was easy. Okay, what's next? Okay, so the past couple of days, I have been sleeping in my upstairs bedroom of my home because the master bath and bedroom had to go under a lot of painting and, changing out mirrors, changing out plumbing fixtures, the lights. So a lot of work, most of the work's been done for upgrade in the master bed and master bath. And so I was asking Spirit, if you'd asked me a month ago, I would say, I had to take a deep breath, I would say, I'm not ready to move into the master bed and master bath. Not yet. I'm comfortable. It was almost like tapping into my childlike energy of when I was growing up, and us girls had the top floor of the house. My parents were on the main, and then my brother's bedrooms were downstairs. And I was enjoying that because I'd run up the stairs, and it was just like the child in me is like, I'm running in, I'm going into this bedroom, it's all fun and peace and everything like that, and then as I would sit out on my lanai and I would turn to the left, I can see the window into my master, and I'd be like, no, not yet. I wasn't ready. And it was almost, it was going from that childlike wonder and creativity that was taking place in that upper bedroom, but then the boss has to come through. Then the master, my higher self. So now they've said, it's time to move into the master bath. It's in the bedroom. It's time to take your place. It's time to imbibe that spiritual authority of where we're taking you. You don't lose that childlike wonder, but there is a higher self that comes through. They know. So now, and just even like this past weekend, guess what I was doing? Construction cleanup, sawdust, wiping every cabinet down in the master closet, the master bath, mopping, cleaning vanities, the mirrors, the toilet room, and vacuuming and mopping it. I mean, I spent at least probably 4 hours cleaning up the master bed and master bath. That was a big step for me. Now you can sit there and say, come on, MorningStar, what are you talking about? Well, this is how they deal. This is how they've dealt with me. They have dealt with me in my personal life. It's like, oh, I want to go higher. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to activate this. And then they'd say, okay, take the trash out. What? What is taking the trash out have anything to do with me wanting to go higher? Make your bed every day. Okay. I mean, I've always made my bed. I've always been an OCD clean freak, but there was a period of time where I had to allow my childness to just be playful. And it was okay. I made my bed, but it was okay if I didn't make my bed. I gave myself permission. So I went through that phase of not doing that stuff. And one thing that's really, really important is when you are floundering and when you really feel like you are at a loss and you don't know what the F to do the basic things. Clean your kitchen sink. Take out the trash. Straighten up your house. Go through your clothes. De-junk, declutter your life. And I know that's really hard to do when you're feeling like the pressure of like depression, or I don't even want to get up today. And it's okay. Some days are like that. Some days you need to rest. Some days you need to take a time out. So let's go back to the vacuum. So let me take a drink. So when that vacuum is created and they're calling you higher, and you're fighting with every ounce of your being. And the test, at least in my life, was, okay, you ready to do this? You ready to do this? What is that? Well, for me, it was teaching me on a very basic principle of taking care of me and taking care of my home that they have provided for me. That was another answered prayer. That house was built in 87, and I think back to what was going on in my life in 1987. That's amazing that house was built during that time. And then all the years later, the sections crossed, and then I was able to move into that house. They keep taking me back to the void. Okay, so this is the serious aspect of that. If you don't pay attention, if you continue not to listen and not to see, lots of times just sit quietly with yourself, breathe, and allow them to show you things. Allow them to show you the blockages, the attitudes, the aspect of yourself that is not in alignment with your highest self. You can be rebellion as much as you want. They have given you free will. You can be stubborn. You can dig your feet in. I have dug my feet in the past. It's taken me years to get where I am now. Fighting, saying, fuck you, I'm not going to do this. You haven't done this, this, and this, and this for me yet. I ain't doing nothing. I am digging my heels in until you prove to me that blah, 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 blah. And it's the opposite. They're like, until you step up in faith, and you enact on the simple things that they're asking you to do. The ego says you're full of shit. The ego says, I ain't feeling that. No. Well, ego needs to die. You need to give a death to your ego, bury it, have flowers, have a ceremony, light some candles, and then just put ego to death. Because we're here for a higher calling. We're here to step into our highest energy, our highest self. That is all the time in the background, directing. They know when it's time to go to the store. They know when it's time to make this phone call. They know when it's time to stop. And it's time to rest and to give yourself permission to rest. When they tell you, listen, and you do have free will. You can stop it and you can say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Okay, yeah, let's live in some misery another 2 or 3 days. Let's live in misery another 3 months, 6 months. How many years is it going to take for us to wake up and to finally come to an understanding that we in and of ourselves are our biggest problem? It's not the shadow work. It's not everything that you see going on in the world. You look in the mirror and you take a real good look and you know and you think and they'll show you, I am my biggest problem. I'm the one that stops the blessings. I'm the one that can breathe and choose again. I'm the one that can get up and change the trash and the cat litter box when I don't effing feel like it. I can. Or I can do those simple things. It's done. And I noticed the other day when I was doing chores, my ego was fighting it. It was like, that was the last effing thing I wanted to do was change the cat litter that day. I didn't want to do that. So you know what I did? I said, okay, ego, we're going to tap out. We're tapping out. You can sit over there at the side. And then it was almost like I just did it. I stopped the monkey mind. I took my ego, set it to the side, and like, sit over there and drink your coffee. Smoke another cigarette. But then I went about doing the work. Did it take that long? No, it didn't. And that's the thing they were showing me. After, it's like, it's more pressure to feel the pressure of when they're asking you to do something and you're fighting it, you know, like, mop the floor. No, I don't feel like mopping the floor. Mop the floor. And then you lay in bed and you're like aggravated because you have to mop the floor. But then when it comes time and it's like, okay, I'm going to mop the floor. Oh my God. How long did it take? 15 minutes, 30 minutes? I know. I always try in my speaking forth my truth to bring it down to a very basic, foundational issues that are the foundation issues. Okay, so now back to the vacuum. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. If you don't progress, if you don't see those signposts and acknowledge them along the way, and you step in, like into your brilliance of your light of being, if you don't step into that, guess what happens? You get to go around the merry-go-round roller coaster one more time. One more time. And then some things in your life might pop up and it might be a little bit worse than it was before. When you could have made the decision back then, during that vacuum time, to go ahead and just do what they've asked you to do. It's simple stuff. It's simple stuff. Now, sometimes I've had to make calls to attorneys and I've had to do a lot of higher stuff that, you know, is really out of my comfort zone, but I've had to learn to be the boss of my life. I had to use my voice to vocalize, right? I've had to do that. I've had to learn to do that. Back, help. So, if you don't pay attention, you're going to go around one more time. And believe you me, for the love of God, do it the first time. Do it, just act, just step out immediately in blind faith. As a child is going down the big kid slide for the first time, there's so many word pictures and imagery I could use for that. Your choice or not. And then you're going to go around that revolving door one more time. And you're going to come right back to when you could have, should have made that leap of faith. And then guess what happens? If you still haven't woken up and still are like, they're going to let you go around one more time on that spiral. And believe you me, baby doll, guys, if you don't wake up, you will spiral down. And you'll find yourself sitting in the shit, and you'll find yourself being stuck in the tar pit. And then what happens? Then they've got your attention. And then you're crying out for mercy. And then you're calling out for grace. And then you're saying to them, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Help me, get me out of this stuff, show me the light, show me the way, help me. Ooh, I've got goosies going up and down my legs. Show me, help me. I'm now ready to listen. You've got my full attention, because what I see is shit. What I see is tar pit. I am not making it. I'm not making it. I'm not making it. I've effed up to the extreme. And the reason why I can tell you this and talk about it is, guess who has been there? Who's been there? Guess who's been there? When they started showing me years ago that I would be like stuck in a tar pit, and I'd look around and I'd see other potholes, but then I'd see like other people walking in spirit, diverting the potholes, diverting the tar pits, and they were finding their way through like a big game. They were finding their way through to the other side of that. And I thought, what the hell? I want to be them. I want to be them walking around these things that I can get stuck in. And what are those things that you can get stuck in? Family belief systems, family things of, you know, whether it's Whether it's like, we don't act that way, or we've never done that, or I am this because of my parents, I am this because of that, you know, or you have children that stand as the accuser of the brethren. Mom, it's all your fault that I am the way that I am, so take it, bitch, right? I mean, it's just like, and then you look back, I look back and I'm like, how many times did I do that to my dad? How many times did I throw a little fit, a hissy fit, to get what I wanted? So I can only speak about the things that I have gone through and experienced myself on a personal level of what it's like to be sitting on the curb amongst the trash and someone is walking by in their highest light and they're whatever, dressed to the nines, but I'm sitting like a little urchin with my hand out. Alms, you know, alms for the poor, alms for the poor. And then there were other times I'd see myself as Oliver with a bowl going up before that headmaster and saying, more porridge, please, right? And then, yeah, I've been that person. I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like to be so distraught, so pushed up against the wall, to be begging, pleading, crying and begging and pleading that no matter what they had to do, it did not matter what they had to take away from my life, who had to be blocked, what relationship had to end. It didn't matter. You finally get to the point after the crushing. Diamonds are what? Crushed. Pressure from coal to become diamonds. That intense pressure. Right? Right? So now, let's breathe. I'm going to take a drink. So if you were still with me, guess what happens when you choose again and you choose your higher self and you hear and you listen and then you either vocalize or write in your journal, I want to see this. I want this to happen. I want this relationship restored. I want maybe that new car in my eye. Maybe I want to move and I want to buy a house. Maybe I want to live in the islands the rest of my life. Whatever it is, maybe I want to own my own company, buy a house. So I started journaling and writing all that stuff down and particulars. And you know what? And even with my dream board years later, every once in a while, I used to have it out all the time. And then every once in a while I'd move. You moved so much before I was allowed to buy my home. I moved so much. And, you know, I'd see that dream board and I was like, and it's kind of like frustration. And it's like, yeah, maybe someday. And so I'd put it in a closet, you know, and then I'd pull it out and pulled it out one day. And I was like, they answered it. There's that. It's here now. Oh my God. There it is. There it is. All the time, they were working on my behalf when I did that dream board 25, 30 years ago that I still kept. And they did it. They did it. I am in my home that I've always wanted to live in. I am living the life that I've always wanted to live. The only thing that I am drawing in right now is my new partner. He's coming. He's coming. And it's going to be nothing that I can do about it, which frustrates the hell out of me because, you know, I'm like, let's go see, let's go look, let's do the and what am I doing again? What am I doing? I can figure it out. I can do this. I can do that. And they're like, no. Faith, blind faith, knowing that when it is time for this other person and I to meet and we finally cross paths, breathe, let energy in that, then it'll happen. I've had to like give up on so many things. Now they want me to talk about money. Okay, so when you are starting to step out and really sorry, wave action. Just riding the waves. All right, so when you're ready to step out, Lots of times we can look at pennies and nickels and things that you find on the ground, and you're like, eh. Sometimes you pick them up, sometimes you don't. If I were you, I'd pick them up. Because you know what? That's them giving you signs of what's coming. It's energy. It doesn't matter if it's a $100 bill, a quarter, a penny, $10, $5. It doesn't matter. Pick it up, put it in your pocket. Pray over your money. Take your purse. Don't ever let it touch the ground. I say to my purse, I used to say to my purse, that's $1 million purse right there. That's $1 million purse. Right there, that one. And I'd buy a nice bag too. That's $1 million purse. And then one day I was at a store and there was a woman who always complimented, and she's like, oh, I love that bag. Well, guess what? I was inspired one day. I decided I cleaned it and I washed it and got it all ready. And then I presented it to her. There have been so many times in my life, I knew I received things that weren't mine and I was supposed to give it right back to a person. And that's happened so many times. I'd buy something and think, why am I buying this? And it's well because, 6 months, 3 months, a week down the road, you're supposed to give it to the person who actually it's for. So anyway, I digress. So there's a lot of things that you can for manifestation. I mean, there's a lot of techniques you can write on a post, like on an old college, like, when we used to have to do research papers and you have the index cards, 888. Breathe, put it in your wallet, sleep with it underneath your pillow. It's all energy. It's all syncing up with frequencies. With frequencies, what are frequencies? Numbers, a lot of zeros and ones. It's all connected. This is all energy. This is all energy. It's all energy. It's all energy. Breathe. So, be thankful for what you have. I am now at a point, and I am almost always hate to say these things, because every time I go live, guess what happens? Within 2 to 3 days, I am having to experience something that I talked about on the live. So I know that that's going to happen, and I know it as sure as the day is long. I know it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Grandmother, help. Okay, so eventually you're going to get to the point where they're going to ask you to spend money. And you checked your bank account, and it's not there. And when they first started doing that to me, I was like, good luck with that. Yeah, I don't trust you. No, I'll hold on to my $20. I'll hold on to my $50. I will. There was a sense of security in that. You know what? $10, $50. I didn't buy jack crap anymore to go to Walmart, Supercenter, or Publix, which is the grocery stores down here. Can't walk out of that place anymore. It doesn't matter. I digress. Breathe. So they would say, donate this, give this away. Sometimes it'd be give $20, not all the time, but there's certain people, they stand on corners and different stuff. And, it's the attitude of your own heart. And when they're guiding you to do something, give that person on the street corner $20. I don't do that for everyone, but sometimes they'll say that one. And it's like, okay, and then it's like in giving out of your lack. Right? Because you're investing in, they're in charge. They know what's in your bank account, but they also know what's on the other side of that blessing when you act in faith. So I'm going to go back to when I went to Sedona the first time. Yeah, I'm going to bring that up. So I wanted to go to Sedona with Imagine, and it was a very expensive trip outside of my budget. I had like the initial deposit, and then I was waiting, and as the days were coming down, I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't make it happen. I knew the price of the hotel at where it was going to take place at the resort in Sedona, and I just and then I called and I said, you know what, can I just get my deposit back? Because it's not working out. Nothing's showing up. And I couldn't give my deposit back. Right? So, I cried about that because it was like, man, this was a hope and a dream. I've always wanted to go to Sedona. I wanted to always experience that. And so I was praying for a miracle, and I was hoping for a miracle because, it was like one way or the other, I wasn't getting my deposit back, but I really, really wanted to go on that trip. And it was just like, it was like birthing. I mean, it was just like, it was so heavy on me. So the pressure of like, God, I really want to do this, but I don't in my own self, in my own capacity of being worried about every 5 or 10 or 25 or $50 or $150 in my account. And I just couldn't see a way. I didn't see a way. So I think 3 weeks before the trip, might have been 2, I happened to go out to the mailbox. And there was a surprise check in there for $5,000. I stood at my mailbox. I opened that up. I kept rereading it. It said my name, $5,000. And I was like, I literally went down on I collapsed. I laid on my driveway and spread eagle with that check in the mail. And I bawled that check in the air, and I bawled my eyes out. So that's how it began with me. That's how it began. Went on the trip. Did I make reservations at an Airbnb that was a lot less money and was able to have a rental car? Yeah, I could do that. 10 minutes from the resort, I could do that. I could still make it happen. I still made it happen. I was still a part of it. I was still enmeshed in it, right? And it was just like, so wondrous. So anyway, let's see what else Spirit would have me say. So the warning has gone out. Wake up. Pay attention. Set your ego aside. Stop giving into the old ways, the family ties, the things that you've placed on yourself, your ego, higher self, whatever, and not higher self in God source energy, the accuser of the brethren, the voice, the who do you think you are voice, or you can't do that, you can't go there, you don't have enough money for this, who do you think you are, you're not gonna, that voice, that's what I'm talking about. Kill it, set it to the side. Do ceremony for yourself. Like with me, I would set the rain stick down, I'd put some crystals, rose petals, light some candles, and I'd stand before it. And I knew when I cross over, I'm going to cross into a different timeline. And I'd stand there with tears in my eyes and flowing down my face. And I said, okay, I am trusting you guys. I am taking a leap. I am taking a step of faith, and I'm stepping in to a new timeline. And I would step in, and I would feel the lightness and the energy change, and that everything that was back there before I stepped in across the stick in the ceremony, it like just scattered like ashes on the wind. Those are most holy, sacred times of presenting yourself to Source, presenting yourself to the higher council, presenting yourself to the guides and the archangels and to Jesus and to the Holy Spirit, and presenting yourself. That's my terminology. That's my language. You don't have to use that language. You can do whatever you want on that regard. But that's what I do. And I take that step, that bold leap step of faith. And I'll take you back to the first Sedona trip. So at the end of the trip with Imaji, at the end, we had a graduation. So we were all out into this beautiful field that was like this beautiful land, and the resort was all around it, and there was a beautiful pond with a weeping willow tree on the other side. So she set a ring of fire, and we could all feel it. I could see it. A ring of fire. And she said, we were all lined up, the class, and she said, take a breath, and when you're ready, and she say, you are ready, take a step into that new life, that new timeline. It's time. Step into your authority. So a couple of different people went through, and nobody was going through for a little bit. And then I thought, okay, this is my turn. And so I started to go. And before I got there, I did a left loopy, and my eyes went back to Imaji in tears of fear, of, shaking, really kind of shaking in tears. And she looked at me and she said, you're ready. I took a deep breath, stepped through it. Ha! I immediately started singing praises. I immediately lifted my hands up, and I went and I sat by that willow tree, and some new guides showed up right then. New guys on my team on the other side showed up, and I had a long discourse and the joy and the release and the relief that it was like, wow, you can't make this shit up. You cannot pay enough money to make that stuff happen. At the end of the day, it is you in your authority, leaving back all the fear, all the trepidation, all the abuse, all of the anxiety, all of the woulda, coulda, shouldas, everything that was bringing death and not life. And then stepping right before that threshold, stepping right before whatever you plan to do, whatever you want to do. Whew. Some people buy that, those streamers at like a party, and you hang it up. And it's like rainbow streamers. Some people have done that. I've been in different ceremonies and classes that we've done that too. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the thing. It's just whatever they tell you to do. And do it. And you're standing there before them. And when you step through, it's as if this shedding of this 3D is shed off, and you are in your highest light, highest spirit, and you're on a new timeline. Don't be afraid to step out in faith. They have you. They are so cheering for you. You weren't put on this earth to be a spectator in the arena seats watching the show. You've been called to be a part of the show. You've been called to step into your authority onto the arena, into the game. Sure, they're spectators. They might be throwing stuff at you. They might be cheering you on. They might be throwing cups at you, popcorn, I don't know. Doesn't matter, because they're not in the race. They're not in the arena. They're not on the game field, the playing field. Stepping it, doing it. And as you step in that game field, you're going to meet different people. You might be wanting a tribe. You're going to meet a new tribe. Just checking in to see if there's anything else I'm supposed to share. Breathe. Okay. Cosmos energy in the great I am, diving deep into Middle Mother Gaia Earth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back up into the great I am. Here's an influx flow. If you want to, breathe and open up your arms and breathe in this new energy and this essence. There's grace. There's grace. become fresh and to become anew, and to shed off the old layers, like a snake changing its skin. One more time. Breathe. Wow, that's deep. Yeah, that's really like two just royal blue beams of energy. Aqua, diamonds around. Wow, they are literally sending down crowns right now. There are crowns coming down right now. If you're listening to this, there are crowns. Your crown right now is coming down right on top of your head. Your authority, who you are, who you've always meant to be, your higher self, crowns. Here comes the staffs. This is real. This is really happening in spirit. It's coming down. Staffs are your authority. And then here comes the balls, the earth, the orbs. Here it comes. Hold your hand out. Receive. Got your crown? Got your staff? Oh, you feel the weight of it? I feel the weight of mine. Bringing it down. Now what's taking place? Sitting in my authority. You sitting in your authority. It's about bloody time. I see the tribal accounts. I see the tribal accounts, their grandmother and the other tribal women. They're coming at us. They're taking ground right now for you. Closer, 5 feet. Now they have passed by us, through us, and they're going out. They're out 20 feet, 25, 30 feet, 50 feet, some 100, 100 feet, 150 feet. 3 miles. 3 miles. And as you grow in authority, it's going to expand 250 miles, 1,000 miles, 5,000 miles, and then eventually you will come into your authority that you are actually seeing the earth and you are manifesting and being the light source, the light code that we all have in all of our different frequencies to bring about the change that's taking place on earth now. It's a growth process. It's a learning process. So pay attention. Pay attention. Wake up. For your sake. I'm talking to your higher self right now. Wake up. Wake up. Set it all aside. It's worth it. It is so worth it. Don't you want to be the real you? Don't you want to be the real you? Haven't you been through enough? Haven't you? And when the storms hit and you're standing more in your authority, stuff happens. There'll be waves. Some might knock you off your feet, but you'll find that it'll be easier to get up next time because you already know. You know the game. You know what's playing out. You take a look around and you're like, I don't choose this time. Let's go up. Riding those waves, staying on top of those waves. Because sometimes when I'm losing it, I'm like, and then what happens? You get tousled and turned underneath the surf and you get pounded and your body gets thrown against the sharp coral and the sharp rocks, right? And then the wave goes back out. You're standing on shore. And then your higher self and the higher counselor are saying, okay, you ready to get back in? Go again. Try again. We're with you. Paddle. Let's go. Paddle out. Here it comes. Here comes the wave. Here it comes. And then you learn to ride the waves. You learn to ride the waves. and they've shut it down. Okay, this is Morningstar. I hope this has blessed you. Thank you for following me. I am also on YouTube. Sometimes I do, I don't know, I'm not really tech savvy, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, thank you. Plane is flying over, and it's a confirmation right now. Thank you very much. Woo! Dragon energy just came up out of the water behind me. Oh, white energy, white dragon. Oh, Majura. Majura told me when I was in the when I was in Perdido Key and did a lot of meditations and lives out there on the beach area out there. This body and essence of water, this spirit rose up out of the water, and I said, "Oh, it was so beautiful." And I was like, "What do I call you?" And it told me, "My name is Majura." And I was like, "Okay." So just now, a white dragon came up out of the water back here. And then Majura came up. Others. They're coming in all around. Yeah. Thank you. Peace. I love you. It's gonna be okay. You win. You've already won. It all works out. Trust the process. Bye. Breathe. Morningstar. Peace out.